first story. This one, I got coming to you a little bit of a follow-up from last week. You had a story for us about Twitter fake news.
That's right.
So I'm not sure if you followed it this week, but Scott Kelley, the astronaut who came back, the identical twin, he came back to Earth, and a lot of news stories came out saying that his DNA mutated or changed by 7%. That's what they were claiming. That's what all the articles said. So my girlfriend, Chrissy Cozier, tagged me in it, and I was like, really? Okay. So I read it, and I was a little skeptical, and then I kept following the news channels, and turns out Scott Kelley tweeted himself. You want to hear what he said?
Yeah.
He said, "What? My DNA changed by 7%? Who knew? I just learned about it in this article. This could be good news. I no longer have to call Mark Kelley my identical twin brother anymore."
Interesting.
As a joke.
Yeah.
So I did some follow-up stories. I read the articles about exactly what happened. Here's the deal. His gene expression changed by 7%.
Okay.
So all of his DNA was still identical, and gene expression is kind of complicated, and I don't know too much about it, but basically your genes tell your body what to do, and they can be expressed in different ways by depending on the environment and things. They can sort of, maybe instead of making one protein, it might make another one in this circumstance. It's just sort of expressed in a slightly different way, even though your DNA is still the same.
Okay.
So it's way more subtle and less crazy than 7% of his DNA changing, as all the stories were saying.
Right, okay.
So it might seem like a minor thing, but the whole point is that, was he still his twin? Like, that was the whole point of these articles. And he still had the same DNA, so he was.
Right.
Yeah. So it was kind of like they're reporting the whole wrong story.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm kind of understanding this, your DNA really can't change, right? Like, I mean, it can mutate here and there, but
those are very small and very random.
Right.
So if your DNA did change a lot, you'd be pretty fucked up.
Okay.
Much.
So if 7% of your
DNA changed, you'd be shot.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be a person.
You'd be like Deadpool, right? Isn't that Deadpool's thing?
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think you'd be a superhero though.
Well, probably not. You'd probably just be like in a hospital somewhere.
Exactly.
Okay, so 7% of his gene expressions changed?
That's all. Yeah, that's what I gathered from the article.
And this is while he was in space versus... Yes. Well, that makes sense, because he's in space. That's like probably the most dramatic environment change that you can have, right? Like, you're no longer on Earth.
And then the article that I read simply was saying that even though he was in space, a lot of the change was probably from his change in diet and just a lot of the other things that he had to change because he was in space.
I see.
And not so much from like radiation and things like that.
Gotcha.
But minor changes. So that's important to think about if we're trying to move a whole bunch of people to Mars or in orbit around here.
Yeah.
Just follow-up study about what space does to your DNA.
Yeah.
And a minor, I call it minor because I don't think they were trying to claim it as like their own story that 7% of his DNA changed, like they got the lead. I think that's kind of just what they thought it was. That gene expression was kind of the same thing as DNA. I don't think it was like purposeful, but it's still fake news, right?
Yeah, it sounds like a mistake at a reputable source, and then that
kind of just
propagates,
floods the Twitter like we were talking about last week. Yeah.
Because you sort of see what one person is saying, and then
that gets shared and retweeted.
Right, you take that as the truth, and then you share it, and you put it out there as far as your own kind of reformat of the same story. But if the falsehood is not caught, you know what I mean, then
just
fake news spreads. Yeah. So very interesting. Very interesting.
So that's why I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Follow up on fake news as well as the story of the astronauts.
Very interesting.